Hello, welcome to more yoga with me, Emily. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you are doing well. And as always, if you're not, that you'll feel a little bit better after some yoga. Today, things have cooled off a little bit more in Vancouver, but I feel like there's still that residual exhaustion that comes after long periods of heat, at least for people like me. I know some of you thrive in this heat. So we'll pick it up a little bit but still keep things um, not quite so sweaty. So um, today we're going to be working side angle pose and different variations of it. So a block is really useful, something that can bring the floor up to you, particularly because sometimes we're going to be going into side angle pose from the ground up, whereas usually we come in at foot up, down. Um, if you don't have it, don't worry about it. A coffee table or a book or tin of beans, something like that could be really useful. And always really like having something that I can kneel on just to give my knees a little bit of cushioning because this floor is quite hard. It doesn't really matter how thick your yoga mat is if the floor is super hard underneath. So let's start lying down. As always, if you're not comfortable on your back, you're welcome to start somewhere else and depending on how your day has been so far, you might need to get some wiggles out or just ease your way into stillness. Some of you might be already completely still and in your meditative state. You could have your legs extended or the knees bent. And for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh your breath away. Couple more. And continue breathing however feels best for you today. Whether it's in and out through your nose or your mouth. Whether it's deep or shallow. You might notice a gentle rise and fall of your belly or chest. The widening of your rib cage with every inhale. And the softening of your front body with every exhale. Your mind might be following your thoughts. When you notice that happening, acknowledge whatever thought you might be having without judging it or yourself. But then try to let it go. So the stream of thoughts are always there, or it is always there. But sometimes we can build a bridge over top of them. To achieve a little bit more stability and peacefulness rather than getting swept away. Last few breaths here. And then start to bring, a little bit of movement back to your body, whatever way feels best for you to wake up. A little wiggle over the fingertips or toes, or some windshield wipers, or maybe a full body morning stretch until you feel ready to draw your knees into your chest to take a little rock from side to side. And you might draw circles here with your legs and the hip sockets. Your legs could go the same direction as each other or opposite directions. Just sort of looking for a little bit more ability, a little bit more ease through the hips and the spine. All right, and then come back to center. From here, option one is going to be having the feet on the floor, particularly if you're pregnant. This is a really great variation. Otherwise, join me by lifting your legs up off the floor. Now, the further your legs are away from you, the harder this will be. The closer you draw your knees in toward you, the easier this will be. I generally like to start with my knees stacked over my hips and then the shins drawn parallel to the floor, hugging the legs toward each other. Flex the feet so the toes flex back towards your shins. And then arms out to the side. It could be cactus arms if you wish, or even kind of like I don't know what to call this, like you're hanging onto the edge of a pool maybe. And then on your inhale, bring your knees over to the right, but only so far as you can before that left shoulder blade feels like it has to lift up. And then exhale, bring the knees back to center. And then inhale over to the left, exhale, center. So we'll do a few more of these twists on your own time. Now, at any point, again, you can make it easier for yourself by bringing your knees closer towards you or toes to the floor, or you can make it more challenging by extending your legs away from you and adding more gravity. But at any point, if you feel that your shoulder blade has lifted from the earth, you've gone too far. So don't push it. You don't need to go all the way over to the side to be feeling this activation, particularly through the oblique abdominal muscles. These are the ones that are involved with twisting and holding our bodies at weird angles, like in side angle pose. Okay, once more here. And then back to center. Whew, shake it out a little bit. And then some of you might grab the backs of your thighs and start to rock and roll up and down your spine. Shoulder blades to sit bones, to shoulder blades to sit bones, or you might roll to one side and press yourself up, but eventually make your way to hands and knees. And then setting up with knees underneath hips, toes can be tucked or untucked, hands outer shoulder width apart or wider. And we'll start to breathe and move our way through cat and cow as we inhale, lift the tailbone, hollow through the lower back, broaden through the collarbones. And then exhale, tuck the tailbone under, round through the spine. Really press the floor away. Inhale to dip the belly. And exhale, round into cat. So that cow pose might feel really good on your abs after that little bit of activation. If there's any other natural movement that would feel good here, feel free to add on a wag of the tail from side to side, or barrel rolls through your chest. You could snake toward the floor. Whatever feels good for you. And then slowly come back to center. We'll get a little bit more of twisting, but in a bit more of a comfortable way. You might want something to bring underneath your head. And then plant your left hand. Inhale, pick the right arm out to the side. Maybe open all the way up to the sky. Exhale, thread it underneath the left. Don't get too comfy in this twist though. Press back into that left hand. Inhale, open up or out to the right. And exhale, twist. One more time. Inhale, open, exhale, twist. And this time, start to snuggle a little bit closer to the floor. You might bring the back of the shoulder or the side of the head to the floor. Ooh, I got a vaccine a couple days ago, so this arm doesn't want to get too much pressure on it. So I'm going to bring a pillow underneath my head. You might stay here with that left hand. You might bring the heel of the hand to the crease of the right wrist to get more traction on that side. Some people really like draping the left arm behind the low back. Just go where you need to go. One more breath here. And then bring your left hand back to the floor, press into it. Inhale, back up and open. And then come back, hands and knees, little wiggle or twist to release. And then we'll switch sides. Plant the right hand, inhale the left arm out and maybe up. Exhale, thread underneath. 2 more times. Inhale, open up. Exhale, twist. 1 more time. And this time, as we thread it underneath the right arm, start to settle or snuggle down towards the earth a little bit more. And you might bring the back of the shoulder to the floor, the side of the head. You could prop a pillow underneath you. And then play around with what that right hand does. It can always be still if that's better for you today. Last couple breaths here. And then slowly bring that right palm back to the floor. Inhale, press back up and back to center. Little wiggle or shake or cat and cow. You can stay here if you wish, or if you'd like to, make sure your hands are nice and wide, fingers spread wide. Tuck your toes, lift the hips up and back into downward facing dog. Wherever is going to work best for your body today, right? Just because downward facing dog doesn't feel good today doesn't mean that side angle will feel bad, right? Super different intensities and muscles being used. So you might be in stillness, you might be moving. Last couple breaths wherever you need to be. And then bend your knees, look forward. On your exhale, walk, step, or hop to the top edge of your mat in standing forward fold. Make sure your knees are bent here. They don't have to be deeply bent, but it's better than them being straight. And particularly if you start to feel, as soon as you straighten the leg, you generate tension in the low back. Keep the knees bent. You could bring blocks underneath your hands or rest your elbows on your knees or thighs. You might choose to clasp opposite elbows with hands for more traction through the spine. You could be still, you could sway a little bit, you could bounce, whatever you need here today. And don't worry about how deeply your knees are bent, right? Even with my knees super deeply bent, I'm still getting a hamstring stretch. It's just closer to my bum than it is to my knees. If your arms are bound, release them. And with fingertips to your shins or blocks or the earth, inhale, little partway lift, belly button to spine. Exhale, let it all go. Couple more. Back of the neck stays long, looking down rather than forward. And then bend your knees, head heavy, arms heavy. Slowly start to roll up to standing in a ragdoll motion. You can use your hands on your thighs if you'd like more support here. And then once you come up, a couple loops of your shoulders, up, back, and down. Or a little wiggle, noodle, or release. All right. Excuse me. Bring your hands to your hips. A little buoyancy in the knees, and just do some gentle hip circles one direction and then the other. And then shake it out. Little twist. All right. Face the top edge of your mat. Now have a block handy. We're going to start to work into side angle pose. If you don't have a block handy, again, don't worry about it. It's totally fine. Send your weight to your right leg. A little buoyancy on that supporting knee. And then step the left leg back. So obviously we're working from up to down for this first one. And then we'll work from down to up as well. So you want to step that left foot back. So it's quite a long stance, like a warrior two stance, heel to heel or heel to arch alignment. Back foot slightly turned in is going to help you with your stability, but also it gets really cool because then this back leg is in internal rotation while the front leg is in external rotation. We don't get that often in yoga. Sort of depends on also your hip alignment, how far externally rotated that front hip is. And then start to bend into that front knee. And then when you look down, make sure that you can see your big toe on the inside of that front knee. If the knee's caving in, you can even grab your front thigh and kind of loop it down and back. Right, sending the front knee out to the baby toe edge of the foot. Okay, arms out. Inhale here, and then keeping both sides of the body long. Exhale, reach the upper body over the front knee. And we're going to hover it in side angle pose. So you can always use support of a hand on the thigh. You can add more challenge to it by deepening the bend in the legs, but also adding more weight by the arms, or take some of the weight away from it, right? Lever length. So a couple more breaths here. You might even imagine that someone's kind of pushing into your hip as they're pulling your arms away. And then spiral those upper left ribs open to the sky. All right, inhale, come back up. Whew, shake it out. That's enough of that. Spin onto that back heel, step forward. And then we'll try it on the opposite side. So you can see why we warmed up those obliques at the start, right? Okay, so weight to the left foot, pick up the right and step it back. Again, for your warrior two stance. I'm going to turn now to face you. And then bend into that front knee. Let's get all these sort of activations going. Hug the legs toward each other. Again, check that you can see the big toe underneath or on the inside of that front knee. Right, really finding the knife edge of that back foot, belly went to spine, both sides of the body long, arms out to the side, and start to reach forward. And you might be here, you might be here, you might be here, you might be here. But we're going to hold this for a few more breaths. Sink into that front knee, spiral the upper right ribs, open to the sky. Lots of glute work going on that front leg, but also a lot of oblique work. All right, inhale back up. Whew, shake it out, step back to the top edge of your mat. Excuse me. Inhale, sweep up to the sky. Exhale, melt to the earth. Forward fold. Fingertips to shins. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. All right. From here, on your inhale, step your left leg back. Again, for warrior two or side angle pose, but pause here. We're not going to come up into warrior two. We're going to come up into side angle pose from the floor. So this might be a really great place to bring a block or something like that underneath your hand. I want you to wrap the back hip forward and the front hip back a little bit. And then from here, work those obliques. Start to spiral your torso open. Maybe the top arm reaches up to the sky. Maybe it reaches forward. Now this can be quite deep. My hips have to lift for me to get this low. So I'm going to bring my front elbow to my knee instead. Give myself a little bit more support. Some of you might have a bind around that front thigh that you'd like to go for. If so, feel free to go there. I haven't done that in a couple of years now, even though it used to be part of my practice. And then slowly windmill back to the floor, plant your hands, and then turn onto the toes of the back foot. Step forward, little bounce or sway. Send your weight to your left foot, and then step the right foot back. Again, for that setup for warrior two legs. Now again, you might have a block to bring underneath that front hand. And you can press your front elbow into the front knee to keep it out. Sink into the front knee, wrap the back hip forward, front hip back, and then start to spiral the upper right ribs open to the sky. If the hips are lifting up quite a bit, sink them or come up a bit higher. And maybe the top arm reaches up to the sky or overhead. If you have a deeper variation, feel free to go where you would like to go. Couple more breaths here, though. And then slowly unwind back to the floor. Come onto the heel of the back foot and step forward, standing forward fold. Whew, little wiggle or sway. And then fingertips to shins. Inhale, a little part weight lift. Exhale, fold. All right, weight back into that right foot, and then step the left leg back. Hug the legs toward each other. And this time on your inhale, windmill all the way up to warrior two. All right. Excuse me. Bend the front knee, bend the back knee. Scoop the tailbone forward and under, and then start to reach that top arm over to the top left corner of the mat. So front elbow can be on the knee or hand, but really round through the spine. Now it's super ugly, but I hope that it feels really good as a stretch through the back, particularly through the low back, quadratus lumborum, multifidus, and your lats. And then inhale, come back up, shake it out a little bit, sink into your warrior two, and then reach forward one last time, side angle pose. Any variation that you would like to take. Last couple breaths here. All right, inhale, back up, warrior two. Exhale, windmill the hands to the earth. Step forward, standing forward fold. Last time on the left foot. So send the weight to the left foot and then step the right foot back. Again, setting up for that warrior two stance. Hug the legs toward each other. Inhale, come up. Warrior two, but then bend the back knee. Right, both knees are bent. Round through the spine. Scoop the tailbone under and forward, and then sweep the top arm, the right arm, over to the top right corner of the mat. Maybe even over to the top left corner. Sort of depends on where the tightness is. Right, really ugly, but hopefully really delightful. Keep that round through the spine. And then inhale, back up. Shake it out if you want to. And then sink back into that front knee. And then reach forward, any variation of side angle that you would like to take for the last couple breaths. And then inhale, back up. Exhale, windmill the hands to the earth, pick up the back heel, and then step forward, standing forward fold. Awesome work, everyone. Fingertips to shins, inhale, little part way lift. Exhale, let it all go. 2 more. And then bend your knees, plant your hands, come back down to hands and knees. Little wiggle or shake or cat and cow. And then either moving through plank from the knees or plank from the toes, come all the way down to the floor. Once you're down, little wiggle of the hips from side to side. Untuck the toes, press the tops of the feet into the earth, so much so you feel your kneecaps lift away. Send your tailbone to the back wall, belly button to spine, shoulder blades on your back. Inhale, Reach the heart forward and up and pause. You might stay here in baby cobra, back the neck along, so don't lift through the chin. Maybe you reach your arms back along behind you, palms could face up or down. Maybe you reach your feet so far back that they de-weight as well. Coming into the long line of locust. And then exhale, release all the way down. One cheek to the earth. Deep belly breaths to release through the lower back. And then roll over to your back. Excuse me. Once you're there, draw your knees into your chest and take a little rock from side to side. We'll move into a twist. So right arm out to the side. You might shift your hips right a little bit to start with. And as you exhale, lower your knees all the way to the left this time. Doesn't matter if your right shoulder blade lifts up. So we're getting a nice passive twist here through the spine. After all the work that the obliques did, it's a good time to help now release them. You can take any variation of twist that you'd like to. Knees stacked, legs crossed, single leg twist. Last couple breaths here. And then inhale, return to center. Reset your pelvis and your spine. Maybe you shift your hips left a little bit. Left arm out to the side. Exhale, lower the knees to the right. And you never need to do the same variation of twist from one side to the other. Inhale, return to center. Reset your pelvis and spine. And then draw your knees toward you. Take them wide this time, out toward the shoulders or armpits. This is a fantastic place to stay, just letting the spine neutralize a little bit. Or you might choose to take happy baby. You could kick your feet up to the sky. Maybe grab the backs of the thighs, somewhere along the legs, ankles, or the feet. You could rock a little bit from side to side. You could be still. Whatever you need here for a few more breaths. And if there's anything else you feel like you need before your rest, a posture or meditation, please feel free to take it. Otherwise, make your way into your final resting pose. You could be flat on your back, legs bent or straight. Maybe choose to rest on your side or in child's pose or a seated meditation. Anywhere that you can be at ease today. And then once you've found your pose of rest, for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh your breath away. Couple more. With each exhale, let your body melt a little bit deeper into the earth. Let go of your breath control. Let go of any last muscle gripping or tension. And take a moment to thank yourself for coming to your practice today. Stay here longer if you can. 5 or 10 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.